Phil Spencer. Xbox, we got to sit down. We got to have a conversation. This man, every time he does an interview, it just sends giant shockwaves through the whole industry. It's kind of crazy what happens. It is. It's insane what happens when this man goes on the screen. And, I'm here to talk about it, man, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that has been said in this interview with Bloomberg. And I feel like we really need to sit down and have a good conversation on, some of the stuff he said, especially when it comes to like acquisitions. He said some good stuff about that. He said some stuff about, exclusivity, where he expects it to go in the near future. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about, man. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about. I think the first thing that we really need to go to first is what he talked about when it comes to acquisitions. You guys know I'm a big component when it comes to like midway through. Part of me feels like Microsoft and Xbox, especially if they're not going to like deliver more exclusives, they need to like double down on terms of like getting, compelling IPs in their house. They need more stuff from, an Asian demographic, like more JRPGs. They need more Western stuff. Maybe not as much Western stuff since they have like Bethesda. But if you're going to like solely focus on just Game Pass and just making value and investing in the ecosystem, not necessarily investing into the hardware, I feel like you're going to need to take a little bit of a different approach when it comes to, just how you buy things. And he pretty much said that on here. The biggest thing that he said that was really interesting when it comes to acquisitions, he's like, look, right now we feel pretty comfortable with ABK. And even though he is pushing the narrative that they would be interested in going more into the acquisition, it's got to make sense for him. And I've always said that on this channel. I don't want them buying any more publishers. Maybe a studio or two if it makes sense, but if they buy publishers, I would prefer them to only buy publishers that make sense to what they need. They got almost every genre you can think of. One of the biggest things that they are lacking is they're lacking a JRPG, Japanese influence in general, Asian influence, Korean influence, like anything on that part of the world, they don't really have. So that would be the only time that I would say is really okay for them to invest. And obviously they're going to invest if they want to. If something pops up and they can get it, like let's say they're able to make something work when it comes to, Take-Two comes up for sale somehow, and they're able to really snatch that. I think, if they're going to make those decisions regardless, like the ABK, they need those situations to present themselves, and then you can't really comment on buying something like that big, which I don't think they're going to buy a big publisher like that. I think ABK's it when it comes to big publishers. Anything like north of like 10 billion. I think that's it. But when it comes to that, I do think that they would look into, maybe Square Enix, Sega, Capcom, Konami, maybe not Konami, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, it's not necessarily about what, the publishing itself. They can make their own publishing, hit up Kojima, say, well, we want to buy your studio and we want to make you in charge of multiple studios. Here's some money, go find us some prominent up and coming studios and put them all up under one brand. Because to me, in order for something like Game Pass to work, you need the diversity in terms of a player experience. You need the Dragon Quest, the personas, the metaphors. That doesn't necessarily mean you need Sega in them. And you guys, I'm very clear on they don't need these things, but I do think in terms of a Game Pass model, it's better for them to get these for the long term. But I don't necessarily think they need them. But who knows, man? Who knows? Microsoft, they be making some, choices here lately. Let's talk about this moving in the right direction when it comes to PlayStation. Now, we know how I feel about the PlayStation thing. I don't believe in putting your games over on a platform is good for you in any way, shape, or form. You should be the only platform these things go on. And to me, sometimes I feel a little annoyed because it's like, I feel like Microsoft, for a company that you would think would look like years and years into the future, sometimes I feel like they be the kings of like looking a couple years and not 5 to 10 year portfolios. But when they're talking about the PlayStation Citric and like what exactly is that, look like, where are they going to go with that? Are they going to put more stuff over there? Using the word red line was used in this term because, and for those of you that don't know, a red line is essentially something where it's like, is there anything that you're not willing to put over there? Is there anything that PlayStation would never get when it comes to the Xbox platform? And this is what Phil Spencer had to say about it. So, as you can see, after releasing the first batch of Xbox games for Sony Group, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch, Phil is pleased with the results. Microsoft will do more of that, he said, and we won't rule out any game in Microsoft stable. So that's pretty much like, say anything you want. They all, I think the ball is moving in the right direction, Phil Spencer said. I think the idea of an open platform, which users have more choice and creators have more choice, you see the momentum, right? So essentially what he's saying there is he's like, look, we're making so much money. And obviously right now they're making bukus of money. And, you can make the argument that a lot of that is from, the ABK money being merged into the Xbox brand. So you'll have to really see how they push that forward next quarter. But I am curious to see, a year or two from now, if that trajectory is still going to go up. I don't know. And this is what, was said. I do not see any sort of red lines in the portfolio that thus must not. So he's pretty much saying there's nothing in the portfolio that we will not put over there. He said it's too early to make any sort of decision on the next version of Halo. Now, all right, let's talk about that. Halo, Gears, Forza. These are the pillars of Xbox. I would say, depending on how well Fable does, I would say Fable's probably up there too. I'm going to be honest with you. In my personal opinion, Microsoft needs to stay away from porting these games over to the PlayStation platform. Do I think they will? I think that will be the last stand. I think they'll port stuff like Fable over there. There was rumors that there was a Gears remake being made, and it was going to be on PlayStation. So it's kind of curious to see how that goes. There was a Master Chief Collection rumor that was also rumored to go on PlayStation. But here's the thing. When the perception is so bad in terms of where things are going and the bad messaging that Microsoft has been doing, it is easy to make up these stories to push something in the right direction that they feel Microsoft's going, or they're just making up because they know it's going to get them clicks. They know it's going to get them traffic on Twitter. They know it's going to get them YouTube videos. Like, it's easy to do that because you have the perception that Microsoft has given themselves. Microsoft needs to do a better job at messaging. If they were just very clear on what they were expecting to go and what they weren't going, people would, deal with that right now, and then they would get that out of their system, and then it wouldn't be nothing. But what you see on Twitter and what you see on podcasts is, people putting the line in the sand for Microsoft. And I think there was an actual rumor that, they were rethinking some of, the stance that they have in terms of the future of the business. Now, I think that some of that might be true. Maybe Microsoft is having conversations on making that line, and they just haven't made that line. Or maybe they have made that line, but, Phil Spencer has been very open. To me, the perception going on now, it would be easier for Phil Spencer just to say, everything's coming, than to say not these games, we're drawing the line, and then the business model changes again, and now he's he's lying again, which he's not necessarily lying. Look, at the end of the day, regardless what these executives say, they're only talking about at that right then and there. Do I think that Phil Spencer may have known about, the potential that games will come to other platforms? Probably. I do feel like with the business meeting this year, when he said Indiana Jones wasn't one of those games, it wasn't the fourth game, it was the fifth game, maybe the sixth. I don't know if they released anything else, but he knew that game was coming out for PlayStation. So I do think that, PR Microsoft deserves a raise. They deserve a raise, man. It is what it is at this point. I don't think you guys should be, looking too much into the matter. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this industry. Game Pass is kicking it. Spiral, man. We'll talk about that. Spiral's in Game Pass. And one thing I want to bring up is I had a company, it's GameSir. They sent me a nice controller, man. It's called the GameSir G7 HE Xbox wired controller. I recommend you guys look at this. Now, obviously, they sent me this controller, and they just sent me the product. It's not like they sent me any money. There's no exchange of money into something like that. And I told them, like, look, I will mention your product after I've used it for a couple weeks. And I want to be very clear on this. Like, this controller got some back pedals on it. I really enjoy that. And it feels good. I don't know, like, sometimes I feel like the controllers are too loose, like, the standard controller. It is a certified Xbox controller, so it got the Xbox approval stamp. And I just, like, what I really enjoy about this controller, and I felt like I really wanted to talk about it with you guys, is just how well it's made. It's like it is a wired controller, and like I said, it is designed for the Xbox. It's got that green stamp on it. Guys, go check it out, man. I'm gonna put it in the description below. You guys know I rarely put stuff on this channel in terms of what a product is, but I'm gonna be honest with you. When I played this, I went to New York with this controller. I played this on my Windows laptop, playing Metaphor, and this controller, it feels quality. $50 feels quality. I really recommend you guys go down there and check that out. It's in the description below. But, it comes down to Xbox, back to that. They're doing good, man. They're doing good. There's so much stuff going on that I feel we are either in the early makings of something great or something crazy bad when it comes to Xbox. Microsoft, they're doing something that no one's ever done, especially a publisher. When Sega went out, they just went out. They didn't try to, like, maintain the line between publisher and, exclusive hardware. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button. As always, appreciate it. You can always sub to the channel for weekly content. Put in the description below. Put in the comment section. What do you guys feel about this Phil Spencer interview? I think he's always a well-spoken person. Now, sometimes you have to decrypt his words because, he is good at wording them in a way where he's not deliberately lying to us. He's just kind of misleading. But anyway, put in the comment section below what you guys feel about that. Like I said, follow me on Twitter, Lord Addict ILP. I'm going to be playing Death Stranding with that controller. I'm going to be playing Death Stranding today. So definitely go out down there. All that's in the description below. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Man, I ain't never done a sponsored. Well, it's not really sponsored. I guess technically it's sponsored, but I ain't really show product like that. But I like it, dude. I'm serious, guys. Go check it out.